Okay guys, so in this video we're going to talk a bit more about Apple stock, ticker symbol AAPL. And I recently watched Apple's 2020 event where they talked about basically the newest upgrades to a couple of their products, in particular the upcoming iPad Air and the new Apple Watch. So guys, you can check out this presentation on YouTube. It's like an hour long. You can just simply search for it, Apple Event 2020, if you want to check it out. Really interesting, and I think Apple did an excellent job of basically creating like a movie to showcase their newest products and upcoming launches, and it just speaks to the credit of the Apple management, especially Tim Cook. Those guys have done a fantastic job managing the company in these uncertain times. So, but in this video I also want to talk about why I think that this is a unique buying opportunity for Apple stock. For me, Apple stock is not a stock that I like to personally trade in and out of for a couple of reasons. Mainly the biggest reason is that I like to collect that rising dividend, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the end of the video. But right now I want to talk about where I think Apple stock is going in the short term and why I think it still remains a wonderful hold. So before I get into the video, guys, please smash that like button. It really helps. So let's get right into it. I think I should start this video off talking about the latest Apple event. So let's head over to it. So I'm on CNBC here, and guys, you can again check that out on YouTube. But basically I just want to quickly recap what everything they talked about. So they mentioned the new Apple Watch Series 6, the cheaper model, the Apple Watch SE, an 8th generation iPad, the new iPad Air, a Fitness Plus workout service, and the Apple One service bundle. So I'm not going to talk too much about this because I think that you can obviously I would rarely recommend watching it if you have the time to, but basically Apple again maintains its excellence in not only making products but showing products. So I think they're the best in the world in basically showing the products that they have for sale, and also showing not only what the products do but how they can enhance your lives, guys. So really amazing information here, and I was just absolutely blown away by all of the new changes that they've made to the products. It is no surprise why Apple is basically the most valuable company in the world. So now, if you bought Apple stock at the top, which was basically right before the 4-to-1 stock split, you might be down quite a bit. The stock is down from its recent high of about $135, and usually this phenomenon is that a lot of people like to sell the news, and also tech stocks in general have been down a bit. I think a lot of institutional money managers, a lot of regular investors like you and me, I think that maybe they thought that tech stocks were just going up a little bit too high, so we're just seeing a natural pullback. A lot of investors are taking profits, moving the money into other kind of undervalued assets. I would think most likely some of the Dow 30 stocks, those have risen a bit, and also REITs. I think a lot of people are sleeping on REITs. Obviously they don't have the same growth opportunities as stocks like Apple, so you're not going to get like 20, 30, 40% compounded annual growth rates with REITs, but real estate investment trusts, they're slow and steady. They're very predictable. You can still bank 8, 10, 12%. So I think that's where a lot of the money is flowing out of Apple stock. But that doesn't mean you should dump your shares and just necessarily move on. I think there's a lot of value in Apple stock. And the reason why I want to do this is I want to give you guys a holistic view on what's going on with Apple stock. So the best way to do that is simply to check out revenue and to take a look at some of the dividend history as well. Apple has always been a strong revenue earner, and that's one of the reasons why it's one of the most valuable companies in the world, basically hovering around a $2 trillion market cap. So let's take a look at those Okay, so there's several ways that you can take a look at their revenue numbers. If I'm looking for like a super long-term view, I like to look at macro trends. Okay guys, so as we take a look here, we can see Apple's revenue numbers over the long term. So we can see a lot of the increases in the long-term stock price have been attributed to the revenue over time. And as we can see here with trailing 12 months revenue, slow but steady, Apple is a gainer. So this is a stock where it's going to be trading up and down. People are obviously going to buy it when they feel it's undervalued, and they're going to sell it off when they think it's a little bit more expensive. But over time, Apple is going to be a slow and steady gainer. And just recently from their Apple event, these guys, they just really know how to sell tech products and how to build a loyal fan base. And that's just two of the most important things when it comes to building any type of company, especially a tech company. And as we can see here with their quarterly numbers, Christmas season does very well for them. They always have a massive increase in sales, and we can see that attributed to their quarterly numbers over the last couple Christmas seasons, 2019, 2018. So what I wanted to kind of show you guys this is to kind of give you guys some relief if you bought at the top, that you don't necessarily have to just dump your shares. Apple started out in 2005 5 of 13 billion in revenue now, 2019 to over 260 billion. So I wouldn't worry about sales here. They're going to get things right. Apple's the type of company where you don't try to overthink it. I think if you could just get into the stock at a fair price, you can use things like dollar cost averaging or just adding to your position month over month. You're going to do really well. And why I talk about adding to your position month over month is simply Apple is one of the rare, I think, high dividend increasing stocks that we have in the tech industry. So what I mean by high dividend is I don't mean the yield is high, but what I said is that the rising dividends are pretty high for a tech stock. So I'm going to let you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so as we take a look here, we're looking at Apple's dividend history. So as you can see here, the company basically picked up their dividend, I would say, right around after the 7-to-1 stock split. Okay, so if we could take a look here at Apple's dividend history, we can see that Apple basically suspended their dividend for quite some time back in the mid 90s, and then they picked it back up back in 2012. So if we take a look here, why am I talking about dividends? Well, I think dividends are really important. In Apple's case, we have a rising dividend here. So as you can see here, we take a look at some of these numbers. Let's take a look at those post-split numbers of the 7-to-1. We can see that the dividend was 47 cents a quarter, then 52 cents, 57, 63, 73, and now we're sitting at around 82 cents per share a dividend payment per quarter. Now, obviously, these numbers are going to change because after the 4-to-1 stock split, we're basically going to divide that quarterly dividend by 4. So that's going to give us a new dividend number of it's going to give us a new number of around about 20 cents per share, something like that. And why this is so important is that rising dividend stocks have outperformed all other different types of stocks over the long run. Rising dividends are where you're going to go because you take advantage of that compound interest. So you're not just making money on the share appreciation, but you're also making money on the interest that those dividends earn, and then if reinvested, it can do really well. So I know a lot of you guys out there are younger investors, maybe you're younger millennials, or maybe you're even in your teens and you're thinking whether or Apple is a stock to trade in and out of or things like that. For me personally, I think Apple is one of those rare companies out there where you basically hold and then you buy on dips. And the reason is that these rising dividends can pay massive dividend payments and just future wealth building opportunities in the future. And the reason this is that Apple has basically increased their dividend about 10% compounded annual growth rates over the last 5 years or so. So what this means is that if you're building something like a retirement portfolio, or you want to pursue FIRE, which is early retirement, these dividend increases are really going to stack up in the next 5 to 10 years if as long as Apple continues to increase that dividend. And with that dividend, it provides a nice floor for the stock. One thing I've noticed in my years of investing is that stocks without a dividend are way more volatile. So you got a lot of shareholders like me who want to keep collecting that dividend. That adds a lot of support for a stock, whereas if you're trading a stock like Tesla, or you're trading a more volatile stock of that nature, you're going to see major swings in the stock price because there's no dividend being paid. So when people see the stock go down, they don't have any incentive to hold it because they're not collecting a dividend. So now let's go back to my chart and where I think Apple is going to go in the short term. Well, once again, I want to use moving averages because it kind of removes the emotions when it comes to basically buying up again into a stock. I like to buy right above the moving average support because I feel like that's a safe number for me. And personally, that's a strategy that's been working for me pretty well. It's just assuring that I don't pay too much. So all I do is I'm using a free software called TradingView. So I just head into the software and I just click moving average. Now, some of you guys, I've read some of your comments in the past. You say you're not a fan of moving averages. Like I said, whatever strategy works for you. Me personally, I try to use as simple as strategies as possible. I don't try to overcomplicate things because the more complicated the strategy, the less likely I am to keep using it. So I'm just going to change the moving average here and make a red line, and then I'm going to change the color to make it to red so you guys can see it much easier. And then to update it. So as you can see here, basically the stock is trading right at its 50-day moving average. So for me, this would be a good time to buy back into the stock. But like I said, I usually use dollar cost averaging when it comes to Apple, and I hold the stock in my retirement account, which means I don't plan to sell the stock at least for another 20 years or so when I'm eligible for my distributions without paying an early penalty. But for some of you guys out here, if you're closer to retirement and you're thinking about whether you should get out of the stock right now, I think that we've seen a big enough sell-off and that there's more value in the stock right now, obviously at around $110 than there was when it was kind of spiking and people were just buying it due to fear of missing out. So they just wanted to get in before the split, and there wasn't really any fundamental change in the company. But after seeing the Apple event 2020, and me personally, I even want to go out there and purchase an Apple Watch. Apple just does a great job of selling their products. I think that there's a lot of value right here. So I would say Apple is a pretty strong buy after kind of a temporary sell-off, and I wouldn't worry too much about the stock crashing. You got that dividend support in there, and so that dividend can really stack up over time. I'm going to make some future videos on the power of dividend investing, but I kind of wanted to keep this video as short as possible and just nail the most important points. So that's it right now, guys. I think Apple's in a phenomenal opportunity, and after the short-term sell-off, I think it's a great opportunity to get back into the stock and to look forward to that next quarterly dividend. So I hope you guys enjoyed my content, and if you guys enjoy my videos, please smash that red subscribe button for more upcoming videos. Full disclosure, I am a Apple shareholder, and I'm really impressed by this company now. I've always liked Apple just because, you know, it's the largest tech company in the world, one of the most valuable companies in the world. It's Warren Buffett's largest holding, but just the overall quality and the ability to deliver on such an excellent event in the current times, I just think it's just a strong buy for me. So that's it for now, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next